Hello and welcome to Nirmal Bang, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hiral Dadia. We have with us Rakesh Sharma, ED at Bajaj Auto, joining in. Rakesh, welcome to the show, and always a pleasure to speak to you and get insights. And wishing you and Bajaj Auto a happy Diwali and a prosperous New Year in advance as well.
Thank you very much, Hiral. It's always a pleasure to speak to you and all of you at Nirmal Bang, all the viewers. I take this opportunity to wish them a safe and a very happy Diwali.
Thank you, Rakesh, on behalf of Nirmal Bang as well. Rakesh, let's quickly start with overall. How has the mood been in the last one quarter? We already announced numbers. In fact, today we had the October auto sales numbers also that creeped in. What's the kind of trend that you're picking up?
So, Hiral, it's better to take a bit of a long shot view of things because the base has got so many ups and downs in terms of first, because of COVID, demand was impacted, then it came rushing back in as pent-up demand, and the festive was also in a different period last year. To understand the industry, I tend to take a longer short view of, let's say, July to October. So if you look at the two-wheeler, when I'm saying two-wheelers, actually I mean motorcycles. Because that is where our space is. When I look at motorcycles, the demand is now coming to about almost the same as last July to October. But just look at the festive alone. So the festive is like 35, 36 days.
Correct.
So with Navratras and Dashera, then Dhanteras, Diwali. Of course, Dhanteras and Diwali are around the corner. But if I just look at a like-for-like comparison in the festive, then I would say we are a tad negative, which I'm hoping that in the next 2-3 days we will reverse and we will become at least equal to last year. So yes, so I would say in this period, the industry is behaving like almost equal to last year. And fortunately, we are slightly ahead of the industry because the sector which has really got hit in the industry has been entry-level commuter because of demand. And then there is the middle sector, which is the 125cc, I would say, which is where we have been in the last 2 years. You recall our last conversation, doing very well.
Right.
The smaller sports segment, while demand is there, but off late because of the semiconductor shortage, we are getting only up to about 60% of our requirements there. So that's what the situation is.
So overall, if you could just help me understand, Rakesh, that, as you mentioned about the shortage as well of the semiconductor chips, how long are you expecting this to actually continue?
See, when we were in August, which is actually this has started to impact us since October last year in one way or the other. And then when we were in July, we were told August will be fine. Then we were told September would be fine. And then October. So it's going up and down, and I don't think anyone knows very, very clearly, because what's happening is it's releasing us sort of a bullwhip effect, which they call in inventories, because you know that there is a shortage, then you are over ordering because you're saying that, okay, I'll get some percentage of. And when some of the mega companies, like let's say an Apple or a Tesla, start to over order, it has a furious ripple effect, and that has certainly started hitting us. And it is not as if some new capacity is going to come on stream. We are just hoping that the post reversal of COVID completely, the existing capacities will come back. But it takes, the way the chips are made, I understand that it takes time to ramp up capacity. So we are taking a more sanguine view of this, though, and we're saying that probably for the next 3 quarters, it's going to be up and down like this. We might get it in a month, we might not get it in a month. So we are calibrating our plans to this uncertainty.
Right. And with this, yes, we have seen pressure on margins, and it's absolutely evident that it's the raw material prices which are touching the roof. However, are you expecting this trend to continue? And if this happens, do we see price increases, say, in the next 2 to 3 months?
So the period June to September was most severe in terms of, or let me say April to September, the first half was pretty severe in terms of cost increases, which were driven by commodity prices, precious metal price increases. That has quietened down. We have recovered most of it, actually not all of it. But going forward, we, at least from where we stand now, we are seeing some pressure developing on the aluminum side and all, which is less of a use in motorcycles and three-wheelers. So we think that about 2% or so is what one can expect in the Q3, which is the October-December quarter. But now, how much to take back? We have taken a price increase on 1st of October. It's not sufficient. See, we are at this point of time where the demand is very fragile, and we don't, and particularly at the entry level and mid level. So we want to be careful. Three-wheeler is just returning. So we want to be very careful, particularly where we are market leaders overseas and in some segments in India. So we are going to look at the demand price elasticity, our sort of judgment of it. And there are some segments where competition is the leader. We are going to see what kind of moves they are making, and then, take a call, most likely after Diwali, as to how we should deal with price increase.
Right. And if you have to see the demand supply right now, yes, the demand has been muted at entry level. Whereas if you see in terms of where the premium segment goes, there is a constraint with regards to where the supply side goes. So is there a demand mismatch happening at various segment points?
Yeah, it is. That is what I was saying. This is what is making the business management a little bit complex, because the demand pattern is a bit uncertain. Like we said, entry has got very badly hit. The middle is doing well, but in the top level, it's this supply thing which has to be managed. Yes, it is it's a very high priority management issue at this point of time. How to use your capacity to the maximum advantage in terms of delivering market share, profitability, keeping in view the uncertainties of availability.
Right. Another aspect that comes in, especially on the entry level segment, Rakesh, is that you have the electric EV segment, which is actually blooming now. Do you think that could be one of the reasons why we are seeing a downtick, especially because petrol, diesel prices are touching the roof? I don't see a gap between petrol and diesel itself right now. So is that one of the contributing factors as well, which is impacting sales?
So it's logical to think like that. One thing is that I won't say that the electric is booming. There is a lot of noise in the system, and which is, it's a very hot topic and something which people want to write about and sensationalize. And of course, because there is a lot of policy making, so government is involved and industry associations are involved. But on the ground, it is not as if the electric penetration into two-wheelers is bounding, spiraling up. It is increasing steadily, and I think it is very clear that we are firmly on the path of transition of ICE to electric. But it's probably going to go smooth, going to go in a steady manner rather than go spiraling up. And as far as the point about, is this one of the factors which is dampening? It is very logical to think like that. I myself was thinking that it is not just about the number of electric two-wheelers which are bought, but people start thinking that, oh, there will be freedom from petrol and all this. My budget will be free from petrol. So I have to buy. Let me see how electric vehicles pan out, and maybe I will look for 6 months and then. So it's also the postponement. When I've talked to the market and dealers, and when one takes an India-wide issue, that it has not yet become a factor in muting demand. The factor is still very much an economic issue. However, having said that, I would say certain places, like certain geographies, which are not metros, which are not very small towns, mid-sized towns, where there is not so much of apartment living, where people have designated parking spaces, where people can charge very easily at home, where people in any case ride short distances, it may be becoming a factor. But if I take a full India view from a total overall point of view, I wouldn't say it is as yet a factor.
Absolutely, the infrastructure is yet to be ready with regards to where going EV is concerned. So, if you could just help me understand how is the response with regards to Chetak and what's the expansion plan on the EV portfolio?
So, as you know, that we have formed a 100% subsidiary, which is a step for Bajaj, and that will drive our EV business. Our demand for Chetak has been actually overwhelming, and that has become one of the problems, frankly speaking, because for whatever reasons, I mean, the product has got well accepted. There is this whole thing about the name Chetak also, which is well known, etc. And see, one disadvantage which the startups have is that they're coming in with a new category, and people say that what will happen to the battery, resale value, who is this? So then there is another layer of uncertainty when there's an unknown name coming. So there are double uncertainty. It's a double value: unknown category, unknown machine, and unknown or lesser known company which is promoting it. So from that point of view, at least we don't have that second disadvantage. So Chetak has been very well received. Our problem is supply chain. We are not getting enough of components now, which means that if we go for a full play, we have got the sense. And from places like Mangalore, Nagpur, Aurangabad, Mysore, where we have entered, forget the Hyderabad, Chennai, and Bombay, there is an overwhelming demand. Now, where we are caught in a dilemma is we would like to go to the top 50 cities immediately. But if we go there, we can now be certain that we will get and you can go to the Instagram handle and see the comments. We are getting comments from Bhubaneswar, from Darbhanga, from Guwahati. When are you coming? When are you coming? Now, if you go there, we will receive a lot of orders and we will not be able to supply. And customers will feel dissatisfied. It is not our type of approach to say this is it and then supply after 6 months. I think that era is gone. But if we just restrict ourselves to completely saturating, let's say, Bangalore and Pune and servicing all the customers, then we are missing an opportunity. So we have to strike some kind of a middle path, and which is where we are calibrating it to the availabilities. And we still hope to be in 30 cities. We are in 9 or 10 by now. Hopefully by March, it'll be 30. And every quarter, the availabilities are doubling. But our order book is still probably 4 or 5 months strong.
So what is the plan with regards to capacity expansion on that front?
See, Hiral, there is no point. We already have a capacity in our current plants of up to 5,000 units, which we can easily push a little bit more. But from a more longer term point of view, here we are going to set up a plant which will be 500,000 capacity, which can be then even flexed to be a little bit more. The capacity is not an issue for Bajaj Auto because, for so many decades, we have been setting up plants. We have got land, buildings, we've got engineering talent. We have done it many times before. We have done it in India. We've helped partners set up plants in 30 countries overseas. Because today, the plants are largely assembly plants. They're not complex plants. So if you have all this infrastructure of land, building, people already with you, and we are not short of financial resources also. So it's not a critical factor in our minds. So, I mean, as we see demand going up, we can manage the supply chain, getting some of the dependencies on certain critical EV components is the kind of thing which we are more concerned about.
Right. And Rakesh, very lastly, between exports and the domestic market, what is going to give us traction and revenues in the current financial year?
See, I'm now thinking that, if the Diwali festive is going to go like sort of flat, then you get a post-Diwali lull, then there's then the model year change, so people hold back the purchase, then you get January, February. So largely, I think the industry is going to be flat compared to last year. I may point out the peak in domestic industry and a peak for all of us was financial year 18-19. From there now, we are at minus 30%.
Correct.
So it will be, let's say, compared to last year, very similar. Now, exports or international business, on the other hand, has been doing extremely well. Given every month we have been clocking over 200,000. This month, I think it's 220,000. Similar kind of a run rate in the next few months. So we think that we should cross, we should be over 2 million, and it should provide a greater thrust, and value will be almost $2.3 billion this year. So in the next 3-4 months, definitely exports will continue to provide thrust. But at a smaller level, what we are also very delighted with, Hiral, is the return of the three-wheeler. Because as the country is opened up and traffic has come on to the streets, the three-wheeler drivers' earnings have increased, and now they can pay their EMIs. So we had 20,000 unit month in October, domestic. The last time we touched 20,000 was in March 20. So, but now hopefully, volumetrically this may be small, but from a profitability point of view, it's important for Bajaj Auto. So I would say flattish in motorcycles domestic, good strong increase return in domestic three-wheelers, but overall it is small. But the bulk of the thrust coming from overseas.
Right. And my last question, Rakesh, is in three-wheelers, because you mentioned it, how big a boost will three-wheeler, electrification be on that front? Because I think March to May is the kind of timeline that we're looking to launch, right?
Yeah, I think we should be done with our prototype testing by March or so. And if everything is fine, then let's say March or April, in that period, early Q1 next year is when we hope to put out three-wheeler. I think the transition in the three-wheeler sector is going to be largely regulatory-led, in the sense that if there are certain towns or cities where it is mandated that you're going to do electric three-wheelers, then it makes sense. Otherwise, the issue is that the government has been pushing CNG, and it's over the last 3 years, I think this is one of the unsung stories about our infrastructure, that the CNG network has got penetrated. It is industrial, household, and commercial, like three-wheelers. Now, that is becoming more and more prevalent. And there we have a huge share, of course. And here, a three-wheeler operating on CNG and a three-wheeler operating on electric, the cost of ownership is very similar. The CNG is cheaper. So now the drivers are more familiar with CNG. They don't have this whole issue of what will happen to the battery, charging infrastructure. So there is more reassurance. And of course, the initial cost of purchase is higher in three-wheelers. So in three-wheelers, the decision is very, very hard commercial. And in that, it doesn't stack up so clearly in favor of electric, particularly in CNG areas, which are widening with every quarter. So it will be restricted, I think, or it will move faster in areas where the government says, no, nothing else. Only electric.
Absolutely. And that's a well-made point as well. Thank you, Rakesh, so much for joining us on the show. Always a pleasure to speak to you. Great insights. Speak to you soon again. Happy Diwali and have a great vacation as well soon after.
Thank you very much. Happy Diwali once again to all of you. Thank you.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel for in-depth interviews of India Inc. and press the bell icon so that you do not miss our updates.